Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something really fundamental. How does a business actually, work day to day?
Yeah, once the initial setup is done, what keeps it going? We've got some great guided notes here that cover operations, plus some feedback that adds a real-world perspective.
Exactly. And a special shout out to the students at Frankfurt High School with Mrs. Graham Bishop and Mr. Johnson. We're aiming to unpack these business basics in a way that's clear, engaging, and hopefully useful for you.
That's the plan. Moving past the big idea and the funding to look at the nitty-gritty of making it all happen consistently.
Okay, so let's start where the notes do. You've got your funding, maybe some initial inventory lined up, but you haven't opened the doors yet. What's that missing piece?
That would be your operations plan. It's essential.
An operations plan. Why is that so critical right at that point?
Well, think of it as your blueprint for doing business. How are you actually going to deliver your product or service? It maps out the processes, the steps. Without it, you're kind of flying blind.
Right, just hoping it all works out. Not a great strategy.
Definitely not. You need to anticipate how things will run.
And the notes point out that once things are running, the owner usually shifts into being a manager. They have to handle management functions.
That's a key transition. You're not just the visionary anymore. You're overseeing the actual work.
So what are those core functions? The notes list 4 specific ones.
Right. They are planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. These are sort of the 4 pillars of managing the operation.
Planning, organizing, directing, controlling.
Yeah, okay.
Let's break those down. Planning sounds obvious, but what does it really mean in a business context?
Planning is all about looking ahead, setting the direction. What are your goals? Maybe it's a sales target or a profit goal.
Right.
Then you figure out the strategies, how will you reach those goals, and you break it down further into specific tasks, maybe with timelines. It's about creating that clear picture.
Like setting regular goals, maybe quarterly or annually.
Absolutely. Like the notes mentioned, setting goals regularly gives you that roadmap. Are we trying to hit X amount in sales this month? Or achieve Y profit margin?
Gotcha. So you have your plan. What's the next function? Organizing.
Exactly. Organizing is about marshaling your resources. And resources aren't just money. It's your materials, your equipment, and crucially, your people.
So putting everything and everyone in the right place to get the job done according to the plan.
Precisely. Making sure everything works together efficiently, like making sure the right tools are available for the right job, or that staff schedules align with busy periods.
Makes sense. Okay. Plan is set, resources are organized. Now directing. What's involved there?
Directing is the hands-on part, the day-to-day guidance and supervision of your employees.
So giving instructions, assigning tasks.
Yeah, setting the rules, clarifying assignments, making sure people know what they need to do and how you want it done. And importantly, the notes mention that some employees might need more guidance than others.
Right. You have to adapt your style. A new person needs more hand-holding than a veteran.
For sure. It's about effective communication and leadership.
Okay, and the last one, controlling. What does that entail?
Controlling is basically checking your progress against the plan. You compare the results you anticipated with what actually happened.
Like checking the scoreboard.
Kind of, yeah. And if things are off track, say sales are lower than planned or costs are higher, controlling involves taking corrective action.
So figuring out why there's a difference and making adjustments.
Exactly. Maybe you need to tweak your marketing or find ways to cut costs or even adjust the original plan if circumstances have changed. It's a continuous loop. Plan, execute, check, adjust.
Plan, organize, direct, control.
Got it. Now, the notes bring up something called SOP's standard operating procedures. These sound important for employees.
Very important. SOPs are your documented step-by-step instructions for how to do specific recurring tasks correctly and consistently.
So it's like the official playbook for how things get done.
That's a great way to put it. It ensures everyone does the task the same way every time. Think quality control, efficiency. The notes use Jake and his pizza place, the Slice, as an example. What kind of SOPs might Jake have?
Oh, loads. Definitely the recipe is exact measurements for toppings, Joe Prep stuff.
Can't have one pizza loaded and the next one skimpy?
Right. Also, opening and closing checklist, what needs to be cleaned, what equipment needs setting up or shutting down, locking up procedures, maybe how to handle phone orders, operate the cash register.
Emergency procedures too, probably.
Good point, yes. Fire safety, what to do in a power outage, anything that needs a consistent, correct response.
Okay, so SOPs cover the tasks. Then the notes talk about an employee handbook. How's that different?
That's a key distinction. The SOP manual is about how to do the job tasks. The employee handbook is about the overall rules and policies of working there.
Policies and rules.
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
Policies are usually broader guidelines for operations. They might apply to customers too, like a return policy, or internal policies like requesting time off. Rules are more about specific employee conduct, what's expected behavior, things like dress code, rules on breaks, maybe policies about tobacco use on premises, acceptable use of company phones.
And the key is applying those rules consistently, right?
Absolutely crucial. Fairness is key.
The notes mention the SBA, the Small Business Administration, has recommendations for what goes in a handbook. What kinds of things do they suggest?
Yeah, the SBA provides good guidance. They recommend covering general employment rules, definitely anti-discrimination policies, information on compensation and benefits, work schedules, standards of conduct.
Lee's policies, safety procedures. Sounds pretty comprehensive.
It should be. It covers things like sick leave, vacation, family leave, and safety rules everyone needs to follow. It sets the foundation for the employer-employee relationship.
So SOPs, how to do tasks. Handbook, rules of the workplace. Clear difference. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Something vital for any business.
Customers.
Absolutely vital. As the notes say, they're the lifeline. No customers, no business. Simple as that. So creating the best possible customer experience is paramount.
Yeah.
What goes into that experience?
It's a whole bunch of things, really. It can start before they even interact with you directly, like your website, is it easy to use? Your social media presence.
How you look online.
Right. Then if you have a physical place, what's it like? Clean, welcoming. And then critically, the attitude of your employees. Are they helpful? Friendly?
And of course, the actual product or service. Does it meet expectations? Is it good value?
Definitely. Quality is non-negotiable. All these touch points add up to that overall perception.
And we all know, an unhappy customer. They tend to talk more than happy ones.
Oh, for sure. Especially now with online reviews and social media. One bad experience can spread fast.
Which is why the notes make a really important point. Even if you think the business isn't really at fault.
You still need to listen. You have to hear that unhappy customer out. Treat them with respect. Sometimes, honestly, just feeling heard is half the battle.
Yeah, the notes suggest that often they just want to vent, to have their complaint acknowledged.
Exactly. And that acknowledgement can open the door to finding a solution and maybe even keeping them as a customer.
The notes give that example with Maggie at the Slice again, the pizza issue.
Right. She ordered extra cheese, didn't get it.
So Jake listened, apologized right away. Remaking it wasn't practical because she was short on time. So what was Jake's solution?
He offered her a coupon for a discount on her next visit. It acknowledged the mistake, showed he valued her business, and provided some compensation without causing further delay.
Smart. It turned a negative into, well, maybe not a full positive, but a much better outcome. Finding a fix that works for the customer in that moment.
That's good customer service recovery.
Okay, so you're managing operations, keeping customers happy, sales are coming in. Now, the notes stress watching the money side very carefully.
Oh, absolutely. Financial monitoring is critical once you're open. You have to know where your money is coming from and where it's going.
The notes introduce this term bootstrapping. What's that about?
Bootstrapping is basically starting lean, using the resources you already have, keeping expenses super low at the beginning.
Like not buying fancy new everything right away.
Exactly. Then, as income starts flowing, you gradually reinvest and upgrade. You pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, so to speak.
And Jake at the Slice did this right. What were his examples?
Yeah, good examples. He used his personal phone for the business initially, used his own pizza pans from home instead of buying all new ones.
Resourceful.
And for deliveries, used his own car or hired drivers who used theirs, avoiding the cost of a dedicated delivery vehicle right at the start.
Makes sense. Avoid big expenses until you absolutely have to or can afford to.
That's the core idea. Now, beyond just starting lean, you need to constantly analyze the money flow. The notes define some key financial terms we need to understand for that.
Right, like asset. What falls under assets?
An asset is anything the business owns that has value. Cash is an obvious one, but also equipment, buildings if you own them, inventory.
Okay. Then liability. That sounds like debt.
It is. Liabilities are what the business owes to others. Loan payments, money owed to suppliers, unpaid taxes, any debts.
Got it. And expense.
Expenses are the regular costs of doing business. Money going out for things like rent, utilities, wages, supplies, marketing, the day-to-day running costs.
Makes sense. And the last one was owner's equity. What does that represent?
Owner's equity is essentially the owner's stake in the business. It's what's left over when you subtract total liabilities from total assets. It's the net worth of the business representing the money the owner could potentially take out or reinvest.
Assets minus liabilities equals equity. Okay.
And these terms all feed into key financial statements. The notes mentioned too. The balance sheet and the income statement.
What does the balance sheet show you?
The balance sheet is like a snapshot. It shows your assets, liabilities, and owner's equity at one specific point in time. Like, here's our financial position on December 31st. It balances because assets must equal liabilities plus owner's equity.
Gives you an overview of financial health at that moment.
Exactly. Now, the income statement, which is also called a profit and loss or P&L statement, that's different.
How so?
The income statement covers a period of time, like a month or a quarter or a year. It shows your revenues, all the money you earned during that period.
Minus all the expenses you had during that same period?
Right. And the result tells you if you operated at a profit or a loss over that time frame.
Super important for knowing if you're actually making money.
Absolutely. And the notes mention Jake used his income statement after 3 months to see where he could cut costs.
So he looked at his expenses on the P&L and thought, where can I trim?
Precisely. Businesses use these statements to make decisions. Maybe they need to find cheaper suppliers, adjust staffing hours based on sales patterns, or invest in energy-efficient equipment to lower utility bills.
It guides those adjustments to become more profitable.
Definitely. And the notes had that great little example of Jake watching his employees with the pizza toppings.
Oh, yeah. Realizing they were putting on too much, costing him money on ingredients.
Exactly. So he brought in scales and measurement charts, an SOP, really to control portions.
And that saved him real money each month, according to the notes. A small change based on observation and financial awareness.
Those little things add up significantly.
Okay, one last major area. Risk. Running a business isn't without it.
No business is risk-free. The notes are clear on that. And statistically, many new ventures do fail. It's a tough reality.
But the good news is you can manage risk. You're not just helpless.
Correct. Entrepreneurs can take steps to mitigate potential downsides.
What kind of risks are we talking about?
Well, there are risks specific to your business operations, like accidents happening on your property, maybe a customer slipping and falling, or potential lawsuits related to your product or service.
Things insurance might cover.
Exactly. That's where business insurance comes in. The notes mention a BOP, a business owner's policy. It bundles common coverages like general liability and property insurance.
And it mentioned a typical coverage amount, like $1 million.
Yeah, that's a common level, providing a safety net for many potential losses.
But then there are other risks, right, like broader economic stuff.
Right. Things like an economic downturn, a recession, things insurance generally won't cover. These affect lots of businesses.
So how do you manage those kinds of risks?
That's more about being alert, staying informed, being flexible. Keeping costs under control becomes even more critical. You need to be ready to adapt your business strategy if the economic climate changes.
Be nimble, basically.
That's a good way to put it. Resilience and proactive management.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, understanding these operational pieces, the planning, the managing, the customer service, the finances, the risks, it's all fundamental.
Absolutely. It's the engine room of the business. And for you students there at Frankfurt High, thinking about maybe starting something someday, or even just understanding the business in your town, these are the core ideas.
Yeah, start looking around Frankfurt.
Yeah.
How do local shops handle customers? How organized do their operations seem? You can start to see these concepts everywhere.
It brings the theory to life.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. We talked about needing a great product or service, A&D needing smooth operations. For a new business, which one do you think is usually the tougher challenge to get right, and why? Is it perfecting the offering or perfecting the engine that delivers it?
Ooh, that's a good one. Lots to unpack there. Something to definitely mull over.
And if you want to dig deeper into any of this, especially the handbooks, finances, or insurance, the SBA website, sba.gov, is a really fantastic resource.
Loads of great information there for entrepreneurs.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.